Welcome back to Tracking Networth for Jappie. Happy New Year, everyone! Okay, so professionally, I've been with vacation for a week already, because of the New Year's and Christmas and everything. So the product manager has been on leave since half of December or something. He still had a baby and he was gone. Little Olympia was born. The last update we got from commercial led me to believe that there is a small chance that this project may still get canned. Because what this commercial guy did, so it's like a salesperson, he kind of misrepresented the value we provide to the economic buyer. Yeah, the economic buyer wasn't convinced. And he was like all upset, like, oh, this guy is so tough and he is not like, fluffy in relationships. No, he wants to know about numbers. And so he gave a presentation and then used the wrong slides, and yeah, it was essentially the wrong value proposition. He should have given a presentation in a large, but he did it in a small. So yeah, that may not go through, unfortunately. We'll see though. Oh yeah, and another issue with this guy is that he skimped on the meeting we set to give us weekly updates. And I had to publicly tag him to actually give us an update. It worked though. But I should start applying, I guess, which is unfortunate. But yeah, things are going well and it's sufficiently risky for me to just have like a backup plan. Why wait until last moment? So yeah, privately I've just been doing all the family stuff around Christmas and New Year. I had like Christmas dinner with my sister. My grandma has her birthday as well during New Year, so I went there and yeah, celebrated New Year just at home. I got really, really anxious from all the firework. I'm happy it's over. I didn't realize it affected me so much until this year. But I think I had like a better New Year than last year because I was having a hangover last year and that's not good. But this time I was just playing games, so that was great. Lack of daylight really makes me down actually around this period. And I was just thinking about going to Egypt this year and I think I should definitely do that next year. Yeah, we're not going to Aruba because it's too expensive during New Year. And yeah, like the final update before we dive into the numbers is has there been a romance? And unfortunately, there hasn't been a romance. I've just been doing other stuff, I guess. But I think I'm ready to take this on more seriously, and I'll ask someone out again. Actually, I did ask someone out on the way back after Christmas because I had a lot of food over, but they were like fed up with the social stuff like me. I just asked them out on a whim because I just want to get rid of the food. So let's dive into the numbers. Business, income, and expenses. So I added this column because we're recording this on the first day of 2025. A little bit busy yesterday. Actually, it was yesterday. I did half a marathon as well. It was fun. I wanted to go to more social activities as well. And one of them was like running half a marathon, so I went there. And then I was like, oh, should I go to the tent? But I decided against that because I felt really, really tired. I did one social activity, that's enough. We don't have to overdo it, right? Yeah, so the first off, we got income from Jappie software as usual, and we got a bit of additional income because I have to renew a certificate for one of my other customers every year. And I learned from reasonable family sources that this company is probably not going to invest a lot more in. So this is like the other customer I have. They're not going to invest more in software because they just don't know what's going on. I'll probably catch up with Guy in a couple of weeks after he is after he's settled from the New Year stuff. So the expenses are low this month, which is great. Holding expenses, this is tax for the car. And then withdrawals, it's the fixed number we set for ourselves. So the gross profit ends up being 7,500. And we do the tax estimation, which is 1,400. So our net profit is 6,559. Okay, so if we go to the balance sheet for the business, we have this account is still open. I asked the accountant about it, and so it's like fine for me to keep open. And I kind of need to keep it open because I have credit card obligations, and these Dutch banks don't provide you with a credit card by default, which is annoying. So for now I'll keep this open, and it's a free account, so it's fine. And these ones cost money, but they provide automated integration within the accounting software, which just saves me a bunch of time, even though they're quite expensive. It's like 20 euros a month, but it's like annoying enough that I want to pay the 20 euros. Just updating those books. I wrote some software to do this for me here, but it's buggy and I don't want to maintain it, This is fine. Okay, so there's like 7,000 in the Jappie software because I got some extra income. And the holdings are lower because of taxes. And then we got our saving account, which has ballooned. And that's because we're saving up for income tax. Yeah, but I ballooned it until New Year. And then after New Year, I sent it all to my private Trade Republic account because it has a 3% interest instead of 1. You know, the income tax savings is gonna end up being quite a lot. And we'll keep doing this like for most of the year because I actually need to borrow from business. Yeah, we'll see that next month. There will be another column for borrowings. And then interactive brokers. This account is probably a lot lower than 12,000. Apparently the Russian stock market has crashed, except this account doesn't get any updates. So we're not seeing that. That's fine, however, like it doesn't matter for the business. And then this account, yeah, it went down a little bit because the stock market is down. We got a deferred profit tax, which is calculated based on the expenses, the incomes and expenses. And then we got our shareholder equity, which went up by quite a bit. Okay, so moving on to private income. We got a fixed amount of income, we got a fixed amount of taxes. This is gonna go down to around 10% next month. The reason it's so high here is because in the beginning of the year, the first 3 months, we didn't have the BV and we got a lot of income, which was actually also counted as private income. So that's why these are higher. But next month we'll have the BV income. So we only calculate this one and everything else will remain in the business, which is fine. Okay, so the Airbnb income, you can see it's like really, really high. It's around 5,000. So the direct bookings are outside of Airbnb, and then we got Airbnb bookings. I should note that around 400 to 500 is from my house here. I'm renting out a room here, so like I'm essentially having a roommate in the house, and the rest is all from Aruba. So like Aruba has been going crazy this month. December is really good. January is really good. So we'll get like a high return investment. So the manager costs 909 from January. This is like paying ahead for January. And we got our running costs, which are also really high. Apparently, I used a lot of electricity, so I had to pay a bill of like 150 euros. Actually, I think it's from previous month. Yeah, I need to look into, this is like a project for next year. I'm gonna look into ways to reduce the electricity expense even more. I think I can replace the boiler, which is now currently electric, with the stuff you put on the roof. And then we get like solar powered warm water instead of this electric one. Because I already have solar panels, but they're still using so much electricity that, yeah, I go over the margin. I think it's mostly from ACs, but just replacing that boiler will be good, I think. You have to see how much that would cost as a project, but go. Okay, so, yeah, I'm saying it here in the... Right, and the other thing we got is like a land payment of 250 euros, like 510 florins. So that's the land value tax. Which, I mean, the land value tax will probably go up once they do an actual proper taxation, but currently getting it cheap. Living expenses is higher, so the washing machine came in finally. We bought last month, but put it on credit card. Furthermore, I also paid off all the outstanding credit card stuff I had. I bought more stuff on the credit card for some reason. And I bought a bunch of supplies, so I bought like protein powder and almonds. So I eat almonds on a regular basis. Like protein. Probably a really bad way of getting protein, but I like them now, so there you go. I bought all the stuff in this month, so essentially the amount of stuff I own goes lower to have to pay less box street tax. And I realized that for 500 euros it's probably not that relevant, but I'm bothered by it, Do it like every little bit that counts. Okay, bad debt payments is normal. And this will end up with a remainder of around 880 euros. So it's a pretty good month. In fact, it's one of the best months we had. I'm not sure why net income is so high. Oh, I guess that's net income is income of Airbnb and private together. Yeah, this is the more important number. Like this is how much we're left with privately. So our private wealth has increased by 880 euros from just work and stuff. Okay, so moving on. Assets and liabilities. We got like 35 euros in cash. I recounted it and decided to put the pounds on here as well. And our checking account has grown to 6,244 euros. Checking account CMB. So one thing that happens is every year all of these accounts get tallied by the tax service and they will calculate the wealth tax for you. I'm at the point where this is starting to matter for me. For various reasons, I don't have that much wealth according to the tax service. For example, they don't think my house in Aruba is worth this amount. They think it's worth $180,000. because the Aruban tax service hasn't done the taxation. It will remain $180,000 until they do that, and they do it once every 5 years. Furthermore, I think this house is not counted with my wealth, but even despite all of this stuff, I got shares in Superseed, I got, the pension is not counted to my wealth either. But I got like a lot of money as well, just lying around, and all of this will be added together, and the amount that will get taxed is anything above 60,000. So as you can see, already the shares in Superseed are above 60,000. So all of this will be taxed. But it's not a very high tax, it's just a little bit. But this bank account in Aruba, they cannot see how much money is in there automatically either. I don't think they know about it. I have to give this up with my accountant, the amount. So what I did is send money over to here, essentially for safekeeping. But yeah, this amount of money on the Trade Republic, we're building this up. What we're gonna do is send over that 10,000 euros for income tax to this account, because this is 3% yield, and the other account is 1.5% yield. It's like double, which is good. This is our equity in the business. So this is not counted to wealth tax either, apparently. I don't think they did a calculation or something. I think they're saying okay, because this is on box 2, it doesn't count for box 3. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't think the tax service doesn't make sense for me. Okay, so our pension went down a little bit. Apparently the stock market is down, so yeah, this is going down. Flex security pension. I was reading up about the flex security pension thing, and I think it may be possible to transfer this amount to the Hero account, which would be good, because this is kind of, they're doing okay. Yeah, I guess they're doing okay. They're having 5% per year. But I looked at the costs, and the costs are just really high for them. And I suspect that part of the reason they've been doing well recently is because they have a part of it in bonds. And I just don't think it makes sense for me to have anything in bonds, because I'm just so young. And yeah, it would be better just to dump it all into shares. Yeah, so I may look into. I'm not sure if it's worth it actually. If it's worth my time, because it's not that much. Yeah, it would simplify this as well, which would be nice. We can get rid of the entire column. So share Superseed, they actually offered me to sell it again, and I decided to not do that because it's fine to keep it. I think this company will do well, essentially. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with how large part of it is of my net worth. It's so it's 15% of my net worth. I think it's kind of fine, but yeah, it's really focused. Definitely shouldn't buy more of it. Okay, so share Superseed is 70,000 euros. It went up due to the pound, not because it increased in value. And then the house is... So one thing I expected was that we would get a new valuation of the tax service of the value of this house in New Year. But apparently they haven't done it yet. So we need to wait until next month, probably, or the month after, for them to do it. Yeah. And then the house in Aruba, so it went up in value because the currency changing. We haven't changed this valuation. I think they're all the same here. Okay, so our student debt has finally reached 700 marker. So we spent the past 4 years or something. Yeah, so it spent the entire year slowly accruing interest until it has now got 100 euros more debt. I just find it interesting. It's a very, very low yield. More than 1%. Yeah, so what I did, you're supposed to start paying it off after 1 year of university, but you get a 60-month wait period for free from the government. So it's you can delay paying by an additional 60 months. You just have to press a button to do that. And because at the time the debt was at 0%, I was okay, it's a 0% debt. Why would I pay it back? So I just pressed the button immediately. What I did back in 2019, essentially. I was expecting my income also to rise, so yeah, it made sense for me to just pause it. However, I got a message at the beginning of last month, so in the beginning of December, that this period would end for me. Then I looked on their website, and apparently I had another year left, so I only had done 48 months instead of 60. So I just increased the wait period again for this year. And hopefully we'll be able to clear out both of these debts before we have to start paying this one. So, you know, we would trade a payment of 1750 per month. So 1750 for like 60. So that would be cool. But I'm not sure. It may be possible. I know for sure we can clear this one. But we probably are not able to clear this one this year. Looking at our past performances. Okay, so deferred income tax. This is like we're building this up because we have to pay income tax in July, and we're just taking into account that we haven't paid it yet. And then we got this is a deferred dividend tax. So this is like because we have the business, and if we would liquidate the entire business, then we have to pay this amount of money. Actually, like it's a lot better than this because we don't have the wealth tax on the business stuff. It's it's doing more for us than just this 0% loan. And then we got a deferred pension tax. So this went down a little bit because the value of the pension went down. So, you know, if we were to liquidate our pension right now, then we would have to pay this amount. Okay, so the ING mortgage. So this is, you know, going down every month because minimum monthly payments. And then we got the mortgage. We're also doing the minimum monthly payments to get these down. And the reason why we haven't like done additional payments on this is because it would be too complicated for, you know, I'm doing this with my father essentially. Like I owe this money to my father, and it will be too complicated for us to keep track of how much I paid off and whatever. So I'm just like accumulating this amount and just doing it in one go essentially. Okay, so like I mentioned, I paid off the credit card to get less wealth tax, and this is also just going on. So this is like the loan I took out for insulation. Right, and we can see that our assets have gone up by 18,000 actually, and our liabilities have gone up by a couple hundred. 400 euros, which means that we have a net worth increase of 17,000. And I was a bit confused about this because the markets are down. I'm just like not sure why, but I think it's because the euro is going down in value. I have like quite a lot of assets not in euros. It's it's actually helping me out, which is strange, and it's bad on me for a day-to-day basis because I have some obligations in dollars essentially, like in the Aruban currency, florin, which is back to the dollar. So if the dollar is really strong, then I have to pay a lot of money to do costs. But on the other hand, it also appears that my Airbnb listing is cheaper if the euro becomes weak because I denominated everything in euros. And that's because the main cost is actually not the running cost, but it's the debt payments. Anyway, our net worth ends up being 470,000 euros. Okay, looking at the debt ratio, it's finally below 0.4. So for every euro I own, I have 0.39 euro cents in debt. So 39 euro cents in debt. Quick cash, so like the money you can cough up quickly. I realize it's a lot lower now, but that's because we moved so much to the business. But it's gonna shoot up soon because I moved all the money out of the business and took out the debt for that. But we'll see that later. We'll see that next month. I wanted to keep this one simple. We'll do more complicated stuff next month, okay? So liquid assets are 77,000, so it's stuff you can sell quickly. So this is like the value of the houses combined. So this is like both Jajostraat and Ooijevaarstraat. Still more than my total net worth, but there you go. So this is the net worth without my primary house. So this is just what we get if we have the net worth and we subtract our primary house out of it. I suppose the idea being that you need a place to live, and that means you cannot put that money you have in there to work. So it's not really part of your net worth. Yeah, it makes sense to me actually. It still makes sense to me, but yeah, for real. And then we got the percentage of high yield liabilities. So we got our total debt sphere, and then this is the amount of debt we have that's more than 5%. Actually, is it 5%? 3%. Okay, so this is the debt we have that's higher than 3%. We just put it on a pile here and see how much it is of our total liabilities. So that will be this number, 301,000. And we have still 28%. Our debt is high yield. So I'm the kind of person who believes that if you have debt that's like, you know, running at 0%, you have stuff that you own. This is also at 0%. Maybe like 0.47%, which is yeah. So if you have debt that's like, you know, 0%, such as the deferred income tax or loans or the warmte fonds. So it's like hotness fund. I guess the proper translation. Yeah, I have this debt and it has like 0% interest. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to pay this back at all. I just want to keep it as long as I can because it's not, okay, say I have like 200 euros. And if I would pay back this debt, I would have 200 euros less. But if I would put the money on the savings account and yield like 3% interest, like we can actually do these days, then I would have, 6 euros a year. It makes more sense to just harvest the difference between those things. And the other thing is that like inflation will reduce the cost, will reduce the real cost of it. So the numbers don't go down, like the nominal numbers. So, you call it 8,675. You still have to pay down that 8,675. But if you have 5% inflation over a year, then in fact that real cost goes down by 5%. So that's why I want to keep on the percent debt. 5% is a bit rough though, because in fact you don't have that often have 5% inflation a year. We got lucky, we got lucky in 2020, 2021, but that's not the norm. Anyway, let's go to the overview tab as well. So, we still have this goal. The goal is to become financially independent. We put money in retirement, doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to put money in a retirement account. But it's just so good. I made a video about how good it is in the Netherlands, but yeah, it's really good. It's like, greed gets the better of me. Yeah, so, this is why I'm talking about that power issue. We have to pay 150 euros in the power bill last month. I actually need to look up the details for that, but it's a lot. So that means that we still, can think about how to improve that. And we probably can if we can spend like 2,000 euros to get rid of that, then it's probably a good investment in the long haul. Yeah, and the goal of setting the 5% debt repayments are still a good idea, even though they're hurting me a lot currently. So this is my little prayer for for being hurt. This is how I remain sane. Oh dear. And yeah, how far are we on our payoff for 5% debt? Well, we're a little bit closer. Our net worth, it's almost at 500,000. We had like a large jump this month, and that's mostly because of currency bullshit. So yeah, it could go the other way next month, right? Like the currency can fluctuate the other way, so the euro can become really strong, and the stock market can also go down at the same time. You don't know. But this is why we do this different currency investing and putting stuff in different currencies, because sometimes the stock market goes down and the currency goes up and vice versa, and that's why you want to have it diversified a little bit. This is my how many quarters did I do over a part of it? This one's insane, 2 quarters. But that's because of I started calculating back the profits from year.I, and because it moved so much in value. Or we think it moved. We haven't had the proof yet. I probably should look it up as well, but we haven't seen the proof yet. But probably year.I would be worth around 300k now, and that's why we jumped over the 400,000 so quickly. So essentially, we just jumped past these because we paid it here. Essentially, we got ownership of year.I, then we realized like, oh hey fuck, it's actually making us a ton of money, and it all got corrected. It didn't used to be like that. So I wanted to show this as well, the percentage of our net worth. So most of it is still in real estate, of course, because we slowly to change. And then this is the latest updated variant. So we got 15% in shares, we got 7% in cash. So the cash is growing by a lot, and that's because we have obligations to pay. So we have to do this. Because we got income tax and we gotta pay off the debts. And how do you pay off the debts? Well, you use cash. You don't use shares, right? If you were hyper aggressive, you could like shove all this cash into stocks and just wait until it's time to pay it off. But for these short-term payments, it just doesn't make sense to put stuff in stocks like that. Like if it were 10 years down the line, then you could do it, but no, not for short-term. Yeah, I it's kind of funny. I used to be way more aggressive with that kind of stuff, but I've learned. Just keep it in cash, man. Anyway, so that was the update for this month. I hope to see you all next month. Thanks for watching. you like the video, please like the video. If you have any comments, please leave a comment below. I love to know about how people are doing this and enjoy watching these videos. It really motivates me if I get some interaction with the community, so it's great. But yeah, I'll just keep making these because I do it more so I can see, 10 years time, what was I dealing with as a young 32-year-old when my life started. This is the big thing that motivated me to make these videos, is that I saw this other guy doing it. Like, he's called like Lucrative Luke, and he had like video recordings of like 10 years of net worth. But when I saw the videos step by step, I went through most of them, I think. I realized that it's essentially like his life story as well, and I found that so fascinating. Like, you can use these numbers to also like sort of explain what's going on with your life in an extremely special way. I wanted to say autistic, but yeah. Some people just love spreadsheets. I like spreadsheets. It's part of my personality. Spreadsheets. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you all next month. Bye.